So we are at the classified champions for Google. And with me today, I'm Darcy Long. I'm the elementary ed tech coach. Think about that for a second. And I've been with the district for 16 years. And with me today, moderating the chat and supporting are Perry and Ennis. And, you know, if there is anything that is a burning question for you, please do take notes, but if there's something that I need to know about immediately, send a direct message to either Perry or Ennis, and they will break in and let me know that, you know, whatever it is I need to do. So hopefully the way things are going to work, I'm going to try to stick really closely to that 45 minutes. Like I said, we've got a lot to go over, but I really want you to play in the second 45 minutes. Please write down your questions. There's the possibility that I'm going to answer your question in that first 45 minutes. And of course, you know, if there's something burning, I'm going to pause at points to let Perry or Ennis let me know that I need to go back or recover. The video for this, I'm going to let you know, is going to be key for you. And I will make sure to post that by Monday morning because I think that we're going to go over so much. You're only going to be able to take in a bit of it. And then once you get some basics, then you can add on. So don't expect to, you know, go with everything today or to recall everything today. So please, you know, we always say at the beginning in our agreements to embrace ourselves and others with grace. I'm saying that especially for myself, because like I said, this is my most challenging area of all of the Google tools. And I'm sure that I'm going to have to pause or refresh my own memory from my own slides. I can tell you, I learned a lot making my own slides. And I am so happy to receive help from anyone else in the room. And Perry and Ennis, if there's something that a detail that you think, you know, is relevant that I am not talking about, please do break in and let me know. Hopefully, like you, I know more than I think I do. And hopefully guiding you with the most helpful, what I felt were the most helpful basics of Google Sheets. And I know today you're going to learn at least one new thing. I'm positive of that, but that's my goal, is that you just learn one. Okay, so the way we have changed the master slide deck, before we had all of the slides, and we've covered Mail, Calendar, Drive, Google Meet, Zoom, Docs. Today we're on Google Sheets. All of those slides are now broken up into their own separate section. So when you get to this is a visual table of contents. When you click on an icon, it will take you, like it just did, it took me to that piece of the slide deck. I'm going to close that because we're not there. We are actually on Sheets. So I'm going to click on Sheets, and it's going to open that slide deck. And I'm going to go ahead and put... Actually, I'll just go ahead and put this direct link into the chat, if I can. I need more. There we go. Okay, and then Perry and Ennis, if you could continue to put that link in the slide deck as folks come in, that would be great. All right, so you can see our monster list of topics here, Sheets. The quick tour and through. I'm not even going to go down that list, but remember that each of these titles here links to exactly where you will find them in the slide deck. So some Google basics, and we use this intermittently in Sheets. We're going to be talking in specific about the different icons for Sheets, but you know, the universal Google basic icons are the waffle, and that leads to all of the Google suite of tools and their different apps. The kebab or the hamburger, and those are usually for menus or other options. The question mark is to get help or receive or to send Google feedback, like if something is not working or you have an idea for how they can make their product better. And then the settings gear. So those are the universal Google icons you find in every single one of their tools. Now, this slide is very busy, and I have some ideas on how to make it less busy, but for now, this was the way that I wanted to break down the spreadsheet screen for you. So I'm just going to start at the top, and then we actually are going to go through some vocabulary work on the next couple slides. So, whoops, let me close that. At the top is your spreadsheet title. A spreadsheet is not just one sheet. It can be a collection of what I'm going to call worksheets. So what we are looking at, when we are looking at it's a spreadsheet, I'm actually going to call that a worksheet, because we can have multiple worksheets in an entire file called a spreadsheet. Okay, so the spreadsheet file is a collection of one or more worksheets of data. Now, on the right underneath where you will have your title is the master options menu. So all of the options available are found there. Underneath there, we have all of our shortcut, or what I call quick access buttons. Those are the most commonly used tools that we are going to use. Just like with Google Docs, we can collaborate with others. And I did include slides that go over collaboration. That's contained in Google Docs. I might add some in at another time, but we've got enough topics to go over. So I might add that later. But the way we share in Google Sheets is the same way we would share in Google Docs. And next week, or the next time we are meeting together and we're going over slides, sharing is pretty much the same in most of the Google tools. So when we look at our quick access buttons, there are different ways that you can break that up. And the left, they're just basics: undoing, redoing, printing. There's some format copying, that's that paint roller, and then zoom. Mostly we're going to use undo, redo, and probably print. The next set, I'm kind of skipping over these, that's number formatting. Some of these, if I skip over something, it's because I'm going to talk about it in real detail later. But then we have our text formatting features, and those we use to make things more visible, to highlight information that is salient. And it's similar to why we would use cell color, border, text, and justifying. Again, data is not useful if you cannot break it down in a meaningful way for you or whoever else is going to view that data. We're not going to talk so much about these today, but I included them, adding links, comments, or charts. Laurie is going over those more in the advanced, but just like in Google Docs, you can add links to things in here, and there are ways to turn numeric data or any other type of data into just a visual icon, a graph or a chart, or flow chart. Just like with Google Docs, there is an Explore button. We do not use it as much in Sheets, so I'm not going to be demonstrating how to use that, but it is there if you need to do a Google search. As I was mentioning about the spreadsheet titles, at the very bottom left, and this is something we'll talk about at the bottom, it shows you how many worksheets you have in your spreadsheet file. And we will practice adding or deleting or hiding different worksheets or copying them. So again, just to kind of further break down that quick access bar that I showed you, here's a table that shows the icons. And for each of the shortcuts, there's just a brief description of what it does. Now, I'm going to start with how you create a file. How do you even get to Google Sheets? Just like Google Docs, there are three main ways. First, you can start in Google Drive. If there's a particular location that you know that you want it to start from, you're going to click New from the Google Drive and then select Google Sheets. I usually start with a blank spreadsheet. I can tell you that I went to the templates and I was not impressed. So typically start with blank. There are some for education. If you're an office or clerical worker in the district, you might find some that are helpful. But if you are coming at this from a teacher or a classroom, probably a blank spreadsheet is going to be helpful for you. The Google Apps menu. When you click on a new tab in Google Chrome, you go up to the top left, you'll see the Google waffle, and then you would click on Sheets. All that does is it actually just takes you to sheets.google.com. And on sheets.google.com, you'll see the option to create a blank template. You can search for templates, and it will also pull up all of the Google Sheets that are in your Google Drive. So that's how to collect everything that's been done in that particular format. The first thing that we want to do is to title a new spreadsheet file, just like Google Docs. Number one, title it. And then again, some vocabulary terms on the bottom. The spreadsheet is the collection of different data worksheets. Okay, so the entire file is the spreadsheet. The worksheet is what we are going to be looking at one at a time. Okay, my arrow wasn't working. There we go. Whoops. So some basic vocabulary when we're looking at the sheet. Number one, the column header cells. I remember when I was first working with sheets, I thought the column headers were just A, B, C, and D. No, those are just like the numbers. The column header cells you actually create. Those are the titles. So for example, if I'm going to include the date, I would name cell 1A. I would click in that cell and I would put in date. If I wanted a column for student name, I might go to cell 1B and type in last name. In C, I might put in first name. In D, I might put grade. So always think of row 1 as the place where you want to put the titles for organizing your data. And those are called the column header cells. The rows run across the screen, right? And then columns run up and down. Each vertical line is going to be your column. Each horizontal line is going to be your row. A couple other words, a couple other terms. So a cell is one single data point or element, one of those little rectangles in that spreadsheet. A range would be a collection of more than one cell. And we're going to be using those terms intermittently. So this entire block that I've highlighted here, that would actually be a range of cells. There are 4 cells there. All right. So let me pause there and let me open up a spreadsheet. And I actually have one because I wanted to make sure I had one with data and everything in it. But I will go ahead and open up a brand new spreadsheet. Just from opening up a new Google tab. So here's my brand new Google Chrome tab, and I'm going to click on the waffle icon, and I'm going to click on Sheets. Here is where I can click on a blank sheet. And actually, if you're a teacher, an assignment tracker or an attendance template might be something that you might want to use. The one that I'm going to be opening is, I'm not going to go from blank. I'm going to go to my practice sheet that I've already, actually, I'll just go ahead and open a blank one. Why not? For now. So you can see it says untitled at the top. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to click on it and I'm going to name it. Practice, whoops, did I spell it right? No, practice Google Sheet. I'm going to press enter. done. So you're going to notice here, this top row 1 that I've highlighted, that would be my header row. That would be where I would enter the names for the categories in each column that I want. I'm going to go ahead and close this out now, and I'm going to go into the sheet that I've prepared. So here is one, for example, where I have included some header names. So column 1, that's where I'm going to have my student names. Column 2, I have my assignment. Column 3, I have that assignment. You can change those names. You know, it's just a cell. You click in it, and you'll notice that the text shows up here. This is where you want to do your editing for the most part. When you can click on that cell, but if you've got a huge amount of text, you want to do some formatting too, you can see it and maybe edit it easier here. All right. So I am going to now, we're going to talk about adding, deleting, and moving rows and columns. Insert is where you want to go to anything having to do with moving rows and columns, go to insert. And then you have the option to select, do you want to add a row above? Like say I have a bunch of names and data and I realize I left out someone's name. Then I would select the spot that I want to add above or below. The same thing with a column. You can add a column to the left or the right. And you can also move cells, move that data down from one column or row to the other. And then the next thing that I'll show you how to do is to group rows and columns. And again, some of these features you might not use, but sometimes, I'm going to show some basics to you anyway, because again, it expands in your toolkit, ideas that will make Sheets an easier tool for you to use. So grouping enables you to hide data that goes together. Something that maybe you don't need to look at immediately. So for example, if you have test scores from trimester 1, test scores from trimester 2, you might not need to look at test scores from trimester 1. You could group all of those test scores together and hide them so that all you see is trimester 2. And whenever you want to look back at trimester 1, you can unpack that again. So grouping rows and columns enables you to just sort the data or organize it in a way that you see what you need to see at any given time, and the rest is hidden until you need it. I think I'm going to stop there. And let's go back into my sample Google Sheet. So let's say the first thing that we talked about was adding and removing and moving rows and columns. Let's say I forgot a student. I would click on a row. Say I forgot student, I don't know, Z. I wanted to put student Z above student A. I'm going to click on row 2. So I'm clicking on the number. Then I'm going to click on insert, and I'm going to select row above. Now I can go into student name and I can type whatever that student's name is and put it there. The same thing for the column. So I can go to column, say I forgot to put in, I don't know, assignment. I want to put in assignment 1A and 1B. So I'm going to change this to assignment 1A. Now I want to add assignment 1B. I'm going to click insert. I'm going to insert a column to the right. And now I have a space to put in assignment 1B. Now, if I want to move some of these columns around, or Z should not come before A, just say, I can just grab that, and you'll notice that there's a hand tool there. Should be able to move that around. I should. Okay, that's not working. Huh, okay. See, I told you. Some of the things I even struggle with.
Never work.
It doesn't work when you want it to anyway. Yeah, it says select the row and drag it to a new location. I did do that, but you saw it's not working. Okay, I'm gonna try it again, but it's not working for me. Okay, yeah, it's definitely not working for me. I'm not sure why. Is it gonna do it now? Oh, it did do it now. I think I'm struggling probably with my mouse, but you can see they are moving, just not in the way I wanted them to. All right, but this is good because I have some data. I have a row here that I have to delete, and we'll talk about deleting in a second. So the next thing I talked about was grouping together. So notice there's assignment 1A and there's assignment 1B. I want to see those together as, or I want to put them together as one group. So I'm going to highlight those two different columns. And then, let's see, go down. So I just right-clicked on it and it says group columns B to C. Now you'll notice there's a little minus sign there and then a bar over those two. If I collapse, the minus is to collapse it. If I collapse it, then I don't have to look at assignment 1A and 1B at all at the moment. So like I said, my example was trimester 1, trimester 2. If there's a set of work or data that I do not need to look at, I can create a group for those columns, and then I can expand it when I need to see it, and I can collapse it when I don't need to see it. The same thing for rows. So say I've got data in here by dates, and I don't need to see the dates for rows 1 through 10. Then you can right click and you can say group rows 1 through 10. And again, I can collapse. I'm not seeing them right now. And then I can unpack that. So this might be helpful, again, if you are collecting data over a period of time and you want to keep things, you want to save all of that data, but only really see what's relevant to you right at the moment. That's when grouping is going to be helpful for you. Okay, so let's go back. Clearly, I still need to play with moving cells. Okay. We talked about grouping. Freezing. Okay, my number one tip for you is after you name your different heading columns, freeze the header row. I can't tell you, before I knew about this tip, how annoying it was. Like, for example, if I sent out a survey and I had the survey questions as my headers, and then I'm going through and looking at people's responses, and I already forgot what the question was at the top of like column G. I'm looking at response. I'm like, wait, what was the question again? I had not frozen the header row. I didn't even know that I could. So freezing a row enables you to keep that information in view, even as you scroll through the data on the rest of your worksheet. All right, let's see if I want to combine two different tasks here. I might as well go over, while we're doing that, resizing rows and columns. And I wish I could have done that to my coffee this morning. I wish it was just as easy. It's pretty easy to do. All you do is you hover your cursor in between the border lines of columns or rows, and you'll see a blue highlight pop up on that border line. And then you just drag, you'll see a double-sided arrow, and you just drag to the width that you need. And that's really helpful if you have data sets, like sometimes you just have a yes or a no, or you have numbers, but sometimes your question or your header is quite large and you want to make space for all of that information. So resizing is a very common and useful tool. Okay, let's see. I think I'll keep it at that. And let's go back to our spreadsheet. And let me go to a spreadsheet that has more data in it. So I'm going to go to this veggie survey, vegetables and fruits. Okay, so I can tell that this has been frozen because there is a dark, or a heavy, bold, gray border between rows 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and unfreeze it because it should be unfrozen. So if I click no rows, there we go. If I scroll now, I have no idea what the survey question was. I'm looking at these. I just say, yes, I like them. Yes, yes, I haven't tried it. They're okay. I have no idea what they're talking about. If I want to see what the questions were, then I'm going to click on that row number, my header row, which is number 1. I'm going to click on view, go to freeze, and I only want to freeze my header row. So I'm going to click 1 row. Now, when I scroll down, I can see, okay, this one's talking about potatoes. This kid likes them. Wow, someone has never tried a potato. That's a first grader. I'm going to cut them some slack. I'm pretty sure they've tried one. But I now can see the data, even though there are many responses here. There's hundreds of responses. That bar stays the same. Now, to resize the data, I don't need that much room for how, for their grade. Notice when I hover on the border between C and D, that blue highlight comes up in the double-sided arrow. Now I can resize that column. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe resize first name. There we go. Now, I don't know what this whole question is. I'm going to show you text wrapping a little later, but let's say I wanted to see the entire question up here for now, and I don't know what text wrapping is. I can stretch that out. So here's the whole question. Do you like to try new foods? Okay, so I think, let me go back to I have another screen with my table of contents. So resizing, and again, the same thing for resizing columns. It's the same thing with the rows. You would hover in between the rows, and then I can drag the border up or down to change the width of that row. Okay, so now we're going to go into hiding rows and columns. And it just all together, since the 3 kind of go together, sometimes hiding is permanently. So I included delete in there. So deleting, clearing, hiding rows and columns. It is a menu when you right click on the row or the column, or the row number or the column header. I'm going to show you one of my tips for keeping worksheets simple looking if you don't have a lot of data, and that is to hide any unused columns and rows. Hiding unused columns is easy, but I have a trick for you on highlighting tons of, because I think there's like 1,000 rows that they include in the default Google worksheet. So let me go to, okay, this Rev Up Reading Survey. And I only had 7 responses for this one. And I think I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can see some more cells that don't have any data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a column. So I have information going up to column H here. I don't want to have all of those other columns. So I'm going to press Shift and the arrow button and just go all the way over. And I think it might actually go to Z. I probably hid all of the rest of those already. So now I'm going to right click. And you'll see it's asking me, do I want to delete the rest of those columns? Do I want to clear? Clear means clear out the data that's there. Or do I want to hide them? Hiding is just, yeah, there's data there, but I don't want to see the rest of that data. It's kind of like grouping, but for a specific set. So I don't want to hide it. I just want to delete it. There, done. So now I just have the cells on the columns that I actually am using for data. And now I'm going to do that for rows. There are a ton of rows. Like I said, I think there's 1,000 of them are a default. So it's going to take me a long time to scroll all the way down to 1,000 or whatever it is. My tip for you. So what I do is I highlight, I'm going to highlight, I have no data after row 8. I'm going to press Shift. Now I'm going to scroll super fast all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so there were more than 107. I can promise you that. I deleted them already. I'm going to click on the last one that's there. So as long as my finger is on the shift button, when I scroll down to the very last row, whatever that is, it's going to highlight everything for me. Now I can right click and it says delete rows 8 through 107. Yep. So now I only have the data that I need right in front of me. And we're going to get into playing with borders and colors to even make it more easy to see the data. Okay, I think I want to stop for a moment. Ennis and Perry, are there any topics or questions that you think I need to go over or cover, or something burning?
Yeah, somebody asked about spell check. Is it available in Sheets?
That's a good question. I have not used spell check, but there it is.
Right.
So when you click on tools, and so it's just like Google Docs, pretty much. When you click on tools, go to spelling, and that is the first choice, and then spell check.
And then somebody asked about the attendance form. I don't know anything about that. So.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So in Zoom automatically records all of the participants here. If you're a paraprofessional and you're asking about the attendance form, that is something that is emailed to you. I'm not sure what time they email that, but that comes from someone, I forget the person's name, someone in Sonia Neely Johnson or Rachel Vanessian's office. But if you ever need attendance verification, please just drop me an email at any time, and I'm happy to provide a screenshot of our Zoom report. All right. So we went over hiding. Whew, we're doing good here. Yes.
Long. The question that I had was, could you show us how to use the attendance form in Sheets or whatever that is? You know how you said about the attendance form?
Oh, there's a template. I actually have not used it, but I can, maybe if we have time at the end, that's something that we can try in, we can open up that template and try it during the work time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so excuse me, can we be thought about how to create Excel?
No, Excel is a Microsoft Office product, and this is the equivalent of it in Google. So that would be a different training.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Some of the tools that you're seeing here are going to be almost exactly what you are going to find in Excel. These two products, so Google makes Sheets, Microsoft makes Excel. They overlap in what they do. The beauty of using Google Sheets is that it's easier to collaborate with others. And not only that, so for example, on the Chromebooks, we don't have any Microsoft Office products installed. You have to pay for licenses for Microsoft Excel. Google Sheets is free. So students, if you work with older students or you work with any other staff members that are using district Chromebooks, you are not able to use or open up a brand new Excel file because you can't download Microsoft onto those devices. However, on what you can do, like say, for example, someone emails you an Excel spreadsheet. What's going to happen is you go to your Google Drive. If you try to open it, it will open it for you in Google Sheets. Now, that said, Excel does have some bells and whistles that are not the same in Sheets. It's going to transfer and take whatever it can. But if someone used, something fancy in Excel that Sheets doesn't offer, it's not going to transfer that. But for most of our work in the district, Google Sheets is sufficient, more than sufficient. Okay, so we were talking about how to make the data or the worksheets more visually appealing, or to make it easier to see the relevant data. One way to do that, in addition to hiding the information we don't need or deleting it, is to change the borders of the cells and to change the color. And you'll see a few examples here on the bottom. Now, you can use the quick access buttons to do that. And there are two quick access buttons. It just looks like a little grid for the borders. And then you'll have some options there. And you also have some options to change, for example, the color or the style of the border. Then if you click on the paint bucket quick access button, that will give you options for changing the cell fill color. And I think I'll go ahead and go over text formatting, and then we'll go back to the spreadsheet. So just like adding borders or color is going to make my data more apparent, text formatting is the same way. You have the heading row. Maybe you want those headings to be in bold. You want folks to really pay attention to particular headings. You can be selective with the type of font, the size, whether it's bold, italics, highlighted, all of that. And you can edit it in the same way that you would your data in a Google Doc. And that's where I'm going to stop for now. So I'm going to go back into my spreadsheet. And here is a nice, short little table. If I wanted to have a border around my header row, I would click on the grid here, and I can click borders, and I can select if I just want one big outer border or if I want every cell to have a line. Over here, I can select what color I want that border to be. So say I want it to be purple. And I can select the thickness. I can select if I want dots or checks or a double line. I'm just going to change the thickness of it. And that's done. That purple, you can't really tell. It still looks black or gray. And the other thing I can do is now I can change the fill color. I can select, say I want this to be, let's use green. There we go. So now the fill color for that top is green. Something else I can do, for example, on my rows, if I've got lots of rows and I want to even more than this, and I wanted to see all of the different, I just wanted to see the data, and maybe alternating colors makes it clear for me. I can, go to my paint bucket and select alternating colors. And now I can change, so I don't want the header. I don't want that one to be the header. I can select different colors and say I want color 1 to be yellow and color 2 to be blue. Sometimes that just helps me see the data a little more easily. So those are some options that you have for adding color to your sheet. Now, I want my header to be bold text, and I want to change the font style. I'm going to change it to Equestrial. I like that one more. I'm going to click bold. I can change the font size. And just like in a Google Doc, I can center my text. Done. And you can do that for the entire sheet if you wanted to. This universal bar in the corner, so the upper where next to the A, to the left of the A and right above the 1, when you select that, it applies whatever you want to do to everything on that sheet. So I had everything selected. You'll notice I pressed bold again, everything turned bold. If I unselect bold, now nothing is bold. So that upper corner that has no letter or number, that is the universal button for selecting all of the cells in the entire sheet at one time. And at this point, if you are already feeling like I've given you an overwhelming amount of data, you're absolutely correct. It's a lot of stuff. So don't worry, I'm going to give you time to play for sure. All right, so we went over adding colors, and I can select color for individual cells as well. So for example, if I didn't want that one to be yellow, or I wanted this entire column to be a particular color, because maybe that's the most important column, select green. Now that whole thing is green. You can select individual cells, columns, or rows. All right, let's go back to our slide deck. This is one of the most important tools that we've got for making data that includes a large amount of text easy to read. And it's called text wrapping. So text wrapping enlarges a cell. So instead of me going over to the column border and dragging it and trying to fit the column size to what I think is going to help me read all that data, it automatically will fit the text. It will format it so that it will change the size of the cell to fit all of the text. The cell will stay the same width, but it changes it vertically. So we're gonna do that. Now there's a quick access button for that. Or you can go to format on the menu. Like anything else in Google, there's usually 2 or more ways to accomplish that task. Now, if you have several questions or a lot of data in there in the spreadsheet that has got a lot of text in it, there's that universal button that I just showed you. That universal cell button will apply text wrapping to an entire sheet. Let me see what the next skill is. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and stick with that. Next topic is pretty different. Okay, so for text wrapping here, I already have text wrapping on this, and I can tell because I can see the entire response. But let me go to, I have another survey here, the survey about veggies with kids. I don't know what all of the questions are up here, and that's because I have not wrapped that text. So I'm going to select my header row, and I'm going to go to the text wrapping quick tool. So that quick access button, it has the double arrows with the brackets. Oh no, wait, that's merge, my bad, not that one. This one. So it has a line, a solid line, and then a split line with an arrow. And again, the other way to do it is to go to format and click text wrapping. When you hit text wrapping, there are 3 different options. I'm going to choose wrap. And now you'll notice the vertical size of the cell shifted so that I can see all of the question. It did not change how wide it was at all. So I can go back here because I don't need that much space. See what happened when I shrunk that or I resized that column. It just changed it so that vertically I can see the whole question. All right, let's see. Going back to the slide deck, we're making good time. I think I'm going through things a little quickly, but that means we'll have more time for answers. Actually, no, we're right about, we still have much to go. Okay, I'm not doing as well as I thought. But this will be fast. Data and number formats, or date and number formats. So just like we can change the text, you can change how the dates look, and you can change numbers, whether it's going to be currency, whether you need to see percents, or whether you need to see decimal points. So I'll show you that in a moment. After I show you how you can change number formats, I'm going to show you how to sort that data. And that's particularly useful, if you need to alphabetize, or you need to sort things by number, increasing to decreasing, or vice versa. And let's see if I can go over the next one. Okay, I'm going to stop there. We're not too bad. So I'm going to go into my sheet, and let's say for this data, I wanted this one, students are sorted. I need to go over numbers first. So you'll notice here the timestamp with the date. In that column, I have the date and I have the time. If I wanted to, I could go into view, and then, whoops, is it view? No, I already forgot. Format, there we go. Go into format, and then you go to number, and then there's an option. If I wanted to change it, say I really don't care about what time they took it, I could change it so it's just going to show the time. I can change it so it just is going to show the date. You can see it just made that change. So there are options for the date. And the same thing with just regular numbers. So if I switched to, say, another spreadsheet here with currency, If I just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I could highlight the data and I could change it if I wanted to format it as currency, or I could change it so it has percent. Usually, the default in Google Sheets is just going to be auto like this, just numbers, just typical numbers. So if you want to change it so it shows dollars and cents, or you want to show percentages, then you need to go to number and you need to make that change from your different options there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my survey that's got lots of information on here. Right now, this sheet is sorted by name, but I'm going to go through. Oh, yeah, it is sorted by name. To sort by name, I would highlight the column, and then I would go to, view. Whoops, did I already, what did I do? There we go. Okay, wait, I'm getting lost in my own thing. Format, data. Okay, there we go. It's under data. So not good with all of these, all of the menu options. I forget where they are. So under data, now I can sort it from either, first name to last, or A to Z with the first name, or Z to A. The same thing with number. It's not going to change from number. If you click on data, it's still going to say A to Z, Z to A, but I'm going to go ahead and say A to Z, and you'll notice it automatically did it from first all the way to 5th grade. Let's see, and what else? So we went through sorting, number, and data. Okay, merging cells is next. This is a tool I'm not going to spend too much time on. It's kind of like grouping. Let me go ahead and click present. So merging cells together. So this might happen when you, for example, I had assignment 1A and assignment 1B. And instead of having it in 2 different cells, I wanted to merge the cells together. Or say when I gave my survey, I had student first name in one column and I had student last name in one column. And I just want them all in one column together. I can use the merge cells tool to combine those together. I don't know how often you'll use it, but I will show it to you. Let's see. And the last thing, the last just nitty gritty detail, it's called conditional formatting. And those are the last 2 things. We're almost at the last topic. And these last 2 things that I'm going to show you, consider that the bells and whistles of the bells and whistles of basic sheets. Let's see, what might I combine together? Okay, I'm going to combine together or merge potatoes. What do I think of them? Potatoes, do you eat them at home? And would you ask the person who buys your food to buy them? It's all about potatoes. I just want to merge those cells together. So here's the quick access button for merge cells. Oh, frozen and non-frozen rows. I froze. Okay, got it. I think because I did freeze that top row. So I need to, I think I did put a note. I think I did put a note for that on the slide. So what I do need to do is unfreeze that. That's under view. And I'm going to say no rows. And now I can go here and I should be able to merge those cells. We'll only preserve the top leftmost value. Okay, I'm just going to say okay. Okay, clearly that didn't work the way I wanted it to. I think that was a bad example because of the type of data that's in there. But I'm going to plead that I don't merge cells very much. So hypothetically, you should be able to merge some cells. Let's see if I can merge these 2. Let's see if that will work. Okay, let's try merge. Whoops. Let's try merge horizontally. Okay, so it only gave me, it merged those two, but then I lost the data. I know there's a way to do it, but I'm going to plead ignorance on that. I am, just straight up. I will have to play with merging more in playtime with you. Okay, conditional formatting. That one I do know better, and I think it should work. So conditional formatting is if you only want data. I'm going to go to something that has less data in it. You only want particular data to come up for with a different color. Let's use, oh, I thought I had another. Okay, I thought I had another data set, but let's see if I can. Let's see if I can do that here. One thing that, okay, let me click that. Okay, I'm going to go back. And so it's under the format setting, conditional formatting. Okay, so I can select here, and the best example, and I thought I had one, I think it's on the picture on the slide deck, is if I'm working with, say, student scores, or say I'm working with attendance. If someone did not attend and they have high absence numbers. So for example, I can select, if it's this number, I want you to highlight it. So I'm going to say if the text contains, let's say the number, if there's a 5 in it. Here, let me move my Zoom toolbar. Then I'm going to say that I want it to paint all of the cells that contain that number this color. Done. And I can create, and you'll see that it did that over there. So if there's particular data that you want, so I could say if it's greater than, say I'm looking at test scores, or it's below than, I want to see kids that did not pass a particular test, or they have been absent more than 5 days. So I can say, let's say, for example, those are attendance rates. I want to see all the kids that have been absent more than 5 days this year. So I'm going to say greater than 5. Then I'm going to press enter. Whoops, done. And it should, oh, maybe I didn't highlight all of it. Oh yeah, wait a minute, it did. Yeah, so 5, 6, I thought it was gonna be that bright color. And that was my other rule, it contains 5. So this light mint green color, that's all the data that is greater than 5. So if you're searching, if you've got a lot of data and you wanna isolate particular pieces or cells of it, you would use conditional formatting to do that. Okay, and again, that's under the format, under the format menu. Okay, I think my brain is full and yours, I'm sure, is beyond full, because I'm getting to that stage where it's like, okay, I've packed in more than is almost possible. The last thing I want you to know about, and this is easy, is adding and deleting worksheets. And let me just make this bigger. Whoops, let me go back. So as I was saying, the spreadsheet is the entire file. The worksheets are the data sets. At the bottom left, you can add sheets by clicking the plus sign, or you can duplicate sheets. So I'm going to go into my spreadsheet, and you'll see at the bottom here, I've got several worksheets. I had the blank one that had nothing in it. Then I brought in some different sheets. And the nice thing about Google Sheets, and this would be in the advanced, is that if you have a spreadsheet in a completely different file, you have data, you can send it. So an option here, for example, with the arrow, I can copy this to a brand new spreadsheet, or I can send it to a completely different file. And that's what I did. This survey was something I did with kids way back in 2016. And I just found that file and I said, oh, I want to copy it into my practice one. So I have some data in there. You can continue to add as many new sheets as you need to. When you click on the drop-down menu arrow, right next to the name. So say, for example, on this one, it's called sheet 1. Say you have multiple classes or groups that you work with, you can rename that. So I can name it, yeah, I'll just call this one S1. Done. And then I can also decide to change the color. So that tab is going to appear differently. I can, if it's something that I didn't want to change on accident, or say I'm sharing this with someone else and I want to make sure that they cannot change the data. So for example, if I'm sharing test score information with parents and I don't want them to be able to, I've shared it with them and maybe, or there's something where I allowed them to comment. If I don't want other people sharing this file, maybe they have access to edit part of it, I can protect this sheet so that no one else, I can set some permissions so that I am the only person that can edit it. And if I'm even afraid that I might make a mistake, I can even show a warning. So there are some things you can do. Hiding it means it just disappears and you do not see it. It's still there, but you have to go to view and you have to go to hidden sheets. Okay, so that's it. That is everything. It is the most basic, the most detailed of all of our basic Google Tools trainings.